Hi everyone, I want to go ahead and do a part 2 because I want to talk a little bit more about the letter Lamed and why it represents the heart and why it represents love. And if you go back to this article over here, which is about the Jewish heart, the secret of Elul, it says over here that the word heart is the word lev in the Hebrew. Over here it says in Hebrew the word for heart is lev, which is spelled lamed bet. And so lamed is actually the 12th letter of the alphabet. I'll show you that in a minute. And bet is the second letter of the alphabet, and it has a numerical value of 2, and so that's why it's understood to be referring to two lameds. And so you have the word lev, which is the word heart, which is symbolized by the two lameds just by the name of the word heart in the Hebrew, which is the word lev, which is lamed bet. Bet is the second letter. It has a numerical value of 2, so it represents two lameds. Okay, another thing about the letter lamed is that, well, for one thing, it represents God. Over here it says it's the 12th letter of the alphabet, and the letter itself has a numeric value of 30, but when you break it down into its components, which is a vav, which is the 6th letter of the alphabet, so it has a numerical value of 6, and a kaf, which is a 20th letter, so it has a value of 20. When you add the two together, that makes 26. 26 is the number for God. Okay, and I'll just show it to you this way. It says 26 is the geometric number, being the sum of the Hebrew characters Yod, He, Vav, He, being the name of the God of Israel, Yahweh or Jehovah. The Greek Strong's number G26 is agape, which means love. Okay, then it goes on to say the letter lamed is unique in the Hebrew alphabet since it's the tallest letter. It is the only letter that rises above the baseline, and as the 12th letter, it is considered central or heart of the Hebrew alphabet. So it's the tallest letter, it rises above the baseline, and since it's right in the middle, it's considered the heart of the Hebrew alphabet. Okay, it says since lamed towers over the other letters from its central position, it is said to represent Meleket HaMelekim, the King of Kings. This idea is supported by the idea that the preceding letter stands for Kisi HaKavod, the throne of glory, and the following letter stands for Malkut, or kingdom. The sages also point out that the 3 central letters can spell the word Melech, which is king. Okay, so I think that's interesting that the letter lamed actually represents the King of Kings, and so if you put the two lameds together face to face, as you see here, then that would be a good representation of the bride of Christ ruling and reigning with Christ. And in this article over here, it talks about lamed being the tallest letter as well. It says, but it is not enough to have two lameds, as Rabbi Yitzchak Ginsburg explains. In order for there to be a relationship, the two lameds need to be connected. They need to be face to face. When we turn around the second lamed to face the first, we form the image of the Jewish heart, as seen in the picture at the beginning of this article. While the heart, as we are used to seeing it, is quite clear in this form, an entirely new part of the heart is also revealed. This is because the letter lamed is the tallest of the letters of the Hebrew alphabet. The reason is because the lamed represents the concept of breaking out of boundaries, of going beyond your potential, of entering the superconsciousness from the conscious. Okay, over here it says that the Lamed also means to teach, and then it says, if you keep reading, over here it shows how the Lamed makes the number 26 a numerical value of 26. When you add the two components together, by itself it's 30, but when you break it apart it makes a number 26, and that's the numeric value for Yahweh, which is Yod He Vav He, and you see each letter broken down over here. And it says, since Lamed is central and raised above all the letters, it represents Yahweh, or the King of Kings. Moreover, the number 30 is the same value as Judah, indicating a connection between learning Yahweh and the tribe of Judah. See Genesis 49:10. Okay, so I thought I would just check stellarium to see where the sun is at right now, and it's just entering the constellation Leo. It's right by the star Regulus, and of course it's in Genesis 49:10 that it talks about. Okay, that's where it talks about the Shiloh prophecy. It's where it says, a scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh come, and unto him shall the gathering of the people be. And of course Jesus is the lion from the tribe of Judah, and he's King of Kings and Lord of Lords, and it's right by the king planet Regulus right now. And I just checked it to see what it would be on September 11. So if you go back to September 11, which is when the month of ELUL ends, it'll be the 1st of Tishri. You see it right between Virgo and Leo, which, as I've mentioned before, that's where the Sphinx is pointing to on the zodiac, right between the two constellations. And of course we have Coma Berenices right in the middle, which I believe forms the capstone. So again, you have this triangle being formed here, which I believe represents the temple of God. Okay, if you go back to today's date, you see that Venus is located over here, and so I just want to check and see when exactly it'll be right by the star Spica, which represents the first fruits. That's the sheaf of wheat in Virgo's hand, and you see it right next to Spica on the 1st of September. I don't know if that means anything, but just thought I would point that out. And the sun will be right in the center, in the middle of the constellation of Leo on the 1st of September. And one more thing about the constellation Leo is that the head of Leo is shaped like a sickle, and of course this is the time of the wheat harvest that it talks about in Revelation 14, when the angel reaps the wheat harvest. It also talks about the 144,000 in Revelation 14. And so you see the sickle, it makes the head of Leo, and the sun is in the constellation Leo currently, and through to about September 11 will be right between Virgo and Leo. Okay, getting back to the article, it says when the letter Lamed is used as a prefix, it means to. For example, if you want to say to a king, it would be Lamelech, so you'd have L and a contraction, and then the word for king makes Lamelech. And then over here it says in Genesis 27:30, there's an unusual tag that's added to the Lamed, and this is where it reads, as soon as Isaac finished blessing Jacob, and that's where it has this added tag. That's in Genesis 27:30, so that's interesting that that's in Genesis 27 verse 30. And again, 30 is the value for the lamed. And over here it says that the word Israel begins with Yod, which is the smallest letter, and it ends with the lamed, which is the largest and tallest letter. And it's interesting that over here in Exodus 19:5, where God says to Israel, he says, "And you shall be to me a treasure among all the people." And so it uses the contraction that it talks about here, but God is saying, to me, you'll be to me a treasure among all the people. And in this particular scripture, the Yod is especially small and the lamed is especially big. It's like oversized. And so God is showing the relationship between us and him, or Israel and him, how small it is in relation to God. Okay, over here it says the sages teach that Israel is Am Segula, a treasured people, when they keep the covenant of the Lord by acknowledging his greatness and Israel's smallness. That is, God is the great lamed, teacher, king of kings, whereas Israel is the small Yod, the small hand extended upward to heaven to praise and in worship. Okay, so getting back to this article, it says, so this is why and how Elul is the month that begins back to back and ends face to face at the beginning of the month. We are unaware of the reality that I am to my beloved and my beloved is to me. However, by working on ourselves during this month, by being willing to turn around and make changes, we come to realize that our Creator has never had his back turned. He has always been facing us and just waiting for us to turn around. And once we do, we are then like two lameds that are face to face, which form the Jewish heart and which are the essence of the month of Elul. Elul then must be understood as an aleph representing God, followed by a lamed, vav, lamed, a lamed that is connected vav to the other lamed. So you have an aleph representing God, and then a lamed, a vav, and a lamed, meaning the lamed is connected to the other lamed. Okay, it goes on to say, in the Jewish heart, this idea of love as a totality of connection is not merely the work for the month of Elul, but is the entire purpose of our creation. The Jewish heart is a symbol for why we were created and what we were meant to be, for the Torah is the blueprint of creation and the guidebook of how we connect to the divine. And it is not a book that has a beginning, middle, and end, but rather a scroll, since we are taught that the end is wedged in the beginning and the beginning in the end. Okay, then it goes on to say that the very last word in the Torah is the word Israel, which ends with the letter L, or the letter Lamed, and the very first word is the word Bereshit, meaning in the beginning, and that begins with the letter Bet. So together you have a Lamed and a Bet, which is the word Lev, which is the Hebrew word for heart. So the sum of the entire Torah is basically the word heart. So again, that seems to allude to the beginning and the end, to everything going full circle. It's also very relevant to the time that we're in right now, which is the summer months, which is where the Song of Songs is set in the late spring. It's actually set in late summer, and This is also the time of the constellation Leo. And I had some more things that I wanted to point out, like the two L's in the word Galgal, which again looks like a two-part word, which again I think is symbolic of the two coming together.